Hello, everyone. Namaste.
Hello, Andre. I think we're getting situated here.
All right, thank you.
You got in.
Yes. Thank you. Hello, Jim. Hello, Yana.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Karen.
Oh, good.
Hello.
Everybody's, we don't see you, or I don't see you.
You don't see me?
No, oh, there's Karen. I see Karen now.
Good
Okay.
morning.
Good morning. Afternoon. All right. Are we all?
Good afternoon for you. Right. It's East Coast.
God, I haven't seen you in so long. Now, are we seeing more than my chin? Because according to my my picture, we're seeing more than my chin.
Not too much, no.
We're seeing my whole face.
Yeah,
Okay, good. Because the other day I thought it looked okay, and everybody was saying, all we see is your chin. So I'm just checking.
are you going to give me share co-host, right? So I can post some share later?
Yeah, Angel, is that gonna work for you?
I just did that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we're not as late as we were the other day. Now, my dog has been doing some sort of weird little, can you hear him coughing?
My dog's doing the same thing, Jana. They'll be doing it and they'll be duetting together.
Okay, well, I mean,
It's very soft. You can't really hear it.
okay, good. I don't know what, it's like he's got a hairball or something. I don't, he
Oh.
keeps going, and then he looks at me, and so I'm just not gonna worry about it. All right.
There's always the mute button. I just hit the mute button when I look like she looks like she's gonna cough.
Okay, I'll remember that. Let's see, I've got everything turned off. I'm gonna take a deep breath. Are we all ready? So I'm gonna do my little script from Rick, and and then I'll do Andre's bio and Karen's bio, and then we're gonna just jump on in. And
Mike, I have Terry as my guest. Angel. Terry Angel. And I invited her, so she should be here too.
we don't know what's going on with Terry this morning. So
Nobody knows what's going on. But she's supposed to be here, but she's not here yet either, so I don't know.
well, if she shows up, we'll welcome her in.
Just welcome her as a panelist if she shows up. I
And
talked to
then-
her last night. She said she was going to be here.
Okay, well,
And Karen, a few of the things I had on the other night with share, I have today too. So
Great.
now so I won't mess up. Karen, do you have another event today with Andre and everybody, or did that already happen?
We did that on Thursday.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So you don't have anything going on today later on with you guys. All right. Well, I think I'm ready. I'm just gonna ignore the coughing and we'll do the best we can. So, oh, we're recording now? Hello, welcome to 11 Days of Global Unity Summit. My name is Jana Larson, and I am coordinator of the Economic Justice Campaign for We the World, as well as many other things for We the World. Today, I'm excited that we will be joined by, or we are joined by Andre Sheldon and Karen Palmer, who will be talking about the theme of women. For the 11 days summit schedule, to see the recordings and to register for free, go to 11daysofglobalunity.org or go to we.net. Rick Ulfik is the founder of We the World at we.net and co-creator of 11 Days of Global Unity. Rick can't be here today for health reasons. However, he sends his love and best wishes. 11 Days of Global Unity goes from the anniversary of the tragedy of September 11th to September 21st, the celebration of the International Day of Peace. commemorating our collective journey from fear to hope. To take action with the 11 campaigns for change, Trends Magazine with editor Robert Levine, and all the work of We the World, go to we.net. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Andre and Karen. Andre Sheldon is the founder and director of Global Strategy of Nonviolence. Andre is the creator and developer of a new global peace movement, a people movement called A Global Movement of Nonviolence for the Children, which is different than any other peace movement because it will be led by women, but is not exclusive to women. It is designed to create change, diffuse conflicts, and create trust and respect among nations and people to change our cultures of violence. It is about stopping war, promoting goodwill, and socializing the children. Andre has presented the plan to the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres' staff, and it includes the structure and operating system to start and sustain the movement. But the funding, marketing, and outreach, administration, implementation, follow-up plans, and leadership. He has worked with Ms. Yolanda King, the daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King, and Arun Gandhi, grandson of Mahatma Gandhi. He has a business background as a manager in restaurants, hotels, and country clubs. And he is a 20-year member of Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, a 15-year member of the National Organization for Women, also known as NOW in the US, and an avid follower of Code Pink, Women for Peace. Welcome, Andre.
Thank you very much. Namaste.
Namaste. And Karen Palmer is a mom who has made a wish that sparked a kindness revolution. She went from being homeless to being an internationally known global kindness leader and educator. Karen is known as Miss Kindness. She is a singer and songwriter who writes uplifting music. These are songs of kindness with mindful, conscious lyrics that raise the vibration on the planet. She creates educational and musical coloring books, toys, and games to raise the levels of compassion, gratitude, joy, kindness, and peace on earth. And she is a spokesperson for Peace Pals, Kokoriab, and We the World. Visit www.globalkindnesstv.org to learn more. And she also does so much more. Welcome, Karen.
And yes, and I'm so grateful to be here and to organize for We the World, the Women's Allies and Families campaign here. And our beautiful Andre is one of our amazing allies that has been such an inspiration and such a beautiful, beautiful partner with We the World. So I'm just so grateful that we have this time to all be together. Thank you so much, Jana, for this wonderful opportunity.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that's a relatively new event that you started this year, it seems like, or did it start last year? I can't quite recall.
Rick and I
Everybody's
got
doing so much.
Yeah, Rick and I got together and talked about it in January of this year. And we made the decision that if I was going to continue to organize for the women campaign, I wanted to add in allies and families, because I felt that we need to have less division and more inclusion. And so Rick very much agreed with me. He had already been thinking that. And so we decided to expand and started every month doing a networking, I call it a networking party, where we came together virtually with the partners of We the World, and we just shine each other's light, and we just talk to each other, and we find out what's going on with each other's projects, and how can we support, and how can we cross promote. And so it's been amazing watching it really evolve. And we just had an incredible blessing for the 11 Days of Global Unity. We did a special episode, and Andre was there. Sandy Hart from Sarah for Hope was there, and Terry Angel from the Peace on Earth tour was there. So we had a beautiful conversation about how are we really going to have peace and unity no matter what? And we answered that question. So I encourage people to go back and watch that replay. It was an amazing show.
Well, everybody's doing so much. And of course, the theme of women, the topic of women, we're in the news. We're in the current events, you know, we're affected by what's happening. And it's kind of scary, the change that is happening. And yesterday, I was talking with Dr. Rion Eisler, and she was
Oh, yeah, that
talking
was
about
beautiful. What a beautiful interview.
great. Yeah, I just love talking with her, and she was so approachable. I was a little intimidated because it's like I never got to her. I got to her people, and so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. But she was just so gracious, so coming forth with information, and I just found it a fascinating conversation. But again, we were talking about, you know, when we talk about economics in the Cornerstone, and we were talking about women, and I was talking about my experience having, you know, as a woman who decided to stay home and raise my children through all those formative years, and be very involved through school. So that meant working lower paying jobs, working fewer hours, and all that leads to what I will get or do get through Social Security for the years that I put in the system where I'm earning money and I don't get any kind of monetary value for having raised children to be, you know, contributing members of society. So that was a great conversation. But I want to talk about Andre now and have him jump in. And I was talking with him last night before I went out to my campfire. And we were going to have a later conversation. I said, no, that cuts into my campfire time. So we had to talk early, and I said, here's what I want to know. I want to know what made Andre get into the field of talking about women and promoting for women and advocating for women. And he's not going to tell his whole life story, but he is going to give us an interesting view. And I thought, well, we're going to be talking about that, Andre. So I'm going to ask you. So Andre, you're on the spot. How did you get involved?
Yes, thank you for having me here. When September 11th happened, and the US was going to use military to resolve the problems, I thought it was wrong, and that we could have done something different. And at the time, my stepmother was the caretaker of my father because he had Alzheimer's, and I saw her strength and how she took care of the family. And so I saw that there was something special there. And I was also inspired by a movie actress who stated in an interview that she had been, she attributed her fame to love of life. And I just saw the power of women working together for peace. And I started writing a story about my father's Alzheimer's, and but I hadn't been a writer before. So to try and make it interesting, I added in that the woman that was the caretaker learned that about her power, and she then started a women's peace movement. And that was before I had ever even been a peace activist myself. And so it led me to all kinds of different directions in the beginning. And then I went to my first peace conference and I saw Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. I read their materials and I knew it was for me. And then, because I live in Boston, there's activity all the time with people and leaders coming to Boston. But right here in the community that I live in right now, there was a woman that lived here originally from Australia, Dr. Helen Caldicott. And she was the founder of an organization called Women's Actions for Nuclear Disarmament. And it was her idea to say that women have special qualities for peace. And I saw that again right away. And I had met some people and they connected me to her. This is when I'm first starting as an activist. And she stated that, yes, she was interested in my ideas about putting together a peace movement, but she's busy doing her work for stop nuclear proliferation. But in essence, she said to me, oh, yes, keep going. We need you to do the legwork. So I set out then right then and there. And a week later, I connected with Reverend Joan Brown Campbell, who's now with, I believe, the Charter for Compassion. And she said, if Helen Caldicott's involved, then I'm involved. And then that's secured my idea that, yes, women, if they're leading, they have constituencies and already their prestigious position will bring in other women leaders. And that's what a plan that I've designed for the global movement of nonviolence, led by women, but not exclusive to women, it's for everyone, says that, yes, this is an opportunity right now, and that's what I'm working on. And the plan is ready now, after all these years, all the legwork, and it's ready now.
So is this the chain reaction?
Well, the one of the main elements is to create a chain reaction, which I'll talk about in a few moments. Yes, with a little bit of an introduction and a presentation.
Oh, all right. Well, I know you have slides, so anytime you're ready, let's roll that beautiful footage.
Right. Well, it's a share, and so it's
I know.
But-
I'm just joking.
yeah. But to start with, it was really, I think we have an amazing opportunity at our fingertips. And so I designed the global movement of nonviolence as an emergency plan to be proactive, as if we were first responders, so that when something happened, we would know what to do because we had already practiced it. We'd know where to go and know what to do. But trying to start a global movement, of course, takes time and a lot of energy and networking. And so that's what I've been doing over the years, is networking with women leaders from around the world. And so now I see that the opportunity is that we can unite all these organizations, because there's thousands everywhere. That was one of my first observations. And that's what We the World has already been doing. So it's already happening right there. It's not like we have to go out and do it.
You don't have to invent the wheel.
That's right. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Yes. So the formula that I propose is to say, yes, we can unite under one umbrella, nonviolence. And it's to make no violence the goal, not just adhere to nonviolence. And so my thought process was, who's going to be first? So I have a couple different scenarios that I put together, but now I see after COP26, and because it failed, I realized, what if the women leaders from the climate movement came together with the women leaders of the peace movement? That would start a chain reaction for all the women and men leaders to join together. It just takes that stimulus. So that's my objective now, my main objective is to get the movement started. That's my main goal, rather.
Your passion.
And my passion.
Well, I share in that passion.
Yeah, thank you. So this is about how do we go about it? And it's to really say, well, women leaders take this as their own. I tried to provide the means for them to operate, because my background says, plan the funding, plan the marketing, plan the administration. So that's what my job has been. And I now have segments that are guidelines. It's not cast in stone. It's to say, here's what we can do. Here's what you can do. It covers that. And so then the women leaders would say, here's what I'm doing. I'm going to illustrate tolerance and forgiveness and kindness. Karen, kindness, that's the key. And to everyone, to ask you to please follow. I'm going in this direction. And to lead for women to lead the way to stop war every day. And it can begin immediately. One last step remains. So all the world crises are getting worse. And the war in Ukraine, I think, has changed the world in the wrong direction towards militarism and division. We have to reverse that and go and unite. And so all the work that Rick and you, Karen and Yana are doing, and all the organizations, if we have that stimulus, we can all promote it in a coordinated, planned movement. So something happened then. The Secretary General of the United Nations, Secretary General Guterres, set the stage for a people movement when he issued a call for a global ceasefire. And this ceasefire, I think, is the most profound, important global actions that could have ever happened. Because stopping war affects all issues. And therefore, a global movement of nonviolence is the perfect follow-up to a ceasefire. And so now September, all that's worked up for the last 3 months, up to this month, the next thing could be a ceasefire. And the global movement of nonviolence can sustain and perpetuate that ceasefire. It's not just the ceasefire alone that's important, it's the people movement that comes after. That's what the ceasefire can stimulate. So that's how important that call was. So I was fortunate, as you mentioned, to go to the Secretary General, and I presented the plan to his staff. And now I'm planning to return to the Secretary General so that we can plan to start a specific strategy to start the movement.
How were you able to?
I'm sorry, this time with a people movement to back it up, though.
How were you able to get in to meet with him?
Well, I was very fortunate to send a letter to the former Director General of UNESCO, Mr. Federico Mayor from Spain. He took an interest in my project. And then the first time I spoke with him, he said, I'll introduce you to the Secretary General.
Wow.
And I said, oh my, I, of course, was thrilled and very thankful. And it took a year to develop. And then he sent a letter to Secretary General because he knows him personally. He said, dear friend, you have to know the Secretary General pretty closely to call him friend. And so he got me in and they had me meet with the senior policy advisor. And at that time, there was a lot going on in the world. I was sent down the line for the time being. I wanted to go back up the line, but I knew that that was part of the process. And so now I'm ready to go back. I'm putting together the team. I'm looking for the final team to come together because everyone's busy doing their own thing. So that's part of the obstacle that I have. And that's part of why I'm here today to say, let's get the movement started. And so because women have already been uniting and practiced mobilizing, as evidenced by the Women's March on Washington. When they were in Washington, they had all the big screens and all the organization that they went through. They know how to do it. They did it for the Parkland students, where after the Parkland shooting, they had a big movement in Washington, D.C., and the Women's March helped them. And then there was the women have been marching in Jerusalem for 5 years, or more than that, bringing people together that normally aren't together. The Arab and Jews came together to march for peace, and they said, enough is enough. And then the women from the United States got women leaders from around the world to go to Korea for crossing the DMZ. It was fantastic. It was covered by all the national news, CNN, they all covered it. And so that told me, oh, everything is, all the mechanisms are there. That's what I call mechanisms. All these things that have been happening. The women in India were helping the Muslim people, not just for women's issues, they were working for someone else. So everyone can come together. So I see it as harnessing the power of women and nonviolence together. And that can bring in everybody. Over the past 6 months, at all the webinars since the war started, the leaders are saying at the end, we need a mass movement. We need to unite. And so I'm not a power person. I'm an architect, a developer is the way I consider myself. And so this plan is about women creating a new power, which is powerful. And it's about creating change and political clout. It becomes political, no doubt about it. And it gets difficult. But it's about also the transition then to something new. So it's nonviolence. It shows that we're not a threat. So before Russia invaded Ukraine, the whole world was saying no to war. The people don't want war. Here's our opportunity. Out of something bad that happened, it creates opportunity, and it's the perfect time now for a new global peace movement. The grassroots are everywhere, and all that's needed now is to unite the organizations and the people. And so I'd like to share my screen with you now. And these 3 women can move mountains. And make sure that gets up at the top. There we go. And Beatrice Finn, Naomi Klein, Medea Benjamin. And when these women join together to promote the umbrella movement, it can create a chain reaction of leaders uniting around the world, which in turn unites the people all for one purpose. Then everyone can still continue their own cause and work in their own particular segment. But if they're not working directly with the movement, they can always promote this as the mother movement. So the people are waiting for something good to happen, is the way I look at it. And they want to be part of something bigger than they are. So can you feel the excitement and the power of nonviolence? But it's not going to be easy, and there will be risks. But we must not leave the world crises for the children. So when I was invited here today, I realized I'm here to ask for the people to reach out to these women, to ask them to take ownership of the process to get the movement started, because they're busy doing their own work, but we have to get the movement started. And it'll pave the way for new and up and coming women leaders and men to rise up from the masses. So the couple other things have happened that, as an example, it didn't switch over on my, I don't know why it's not working on my main board. Oh, it looks like it's trying.
Mm.
No, that's not, oh, the one that I wanted didn't come up. But here's this chain reaction. And I originally thought that particular people could motivate their whole movement to join as part of the chain reaction. For example, Alice Walker could enlist Martin Luther King III and Arun Gandhi and all the nonviolent movements. Alice Walker, she was the author of The Color Purple, and she's an activist. And she very carefully uses her power and authority at specific times. She could unite the whole civil rights movement. And that would include then all the 60s and 70s peace activists. And Gloria Steinem and Oprah Winfrey could bring in all the celebrities and the dignitaries. Marianne Williamson, the whole spiritual movement, because she's asked them before to transcend, to be political. And Sister Joan Chittister is my favorite. I've got a few quotes from her that I want to mention later. And it just goes on and on. And there's 2 people George Soros and I'm sorry, Charles Koch. They came together. They're two unlikely bedfellows, one Democrat, one Republican, billionaires. And they came together and they formed the Quincy Institute. And the purpose was to stop wars. To stop endless wars. So it shows and it proved that people with different ideals and different nationalism and religions and politics can come together to stop war. So that's how powerful it was. And this sign says it all. For this child said, what's important? We have to save the planet. We need peace to do it. Jeffrey Sachs, the economist, said, oh, we need peace first because we need the funding to go to the climate movement that's now going to military. And since the war, it's been even increasing all the military budgets. So moms can do it. After the children were killed in Sandy Hook, a woman, Shannon Watts, started the Moms Demand Action. It went to all 50 states. And then Mayor Bloomberg contributed $50 million to this organization to reorganize his organization of stopping gun violence. And these words that the women put in their posting on Facebook says it all as well. So the time is here for the women peacemakers of the world to unite. This is what I found. I've got so much information like this, these signs that make me excited about it. And so I work hard for these items because of these items.
Well, that's wonderful. I've written postcards for Moms Demand Action too, and all of those activities. Oh, well, I agree. We women, we rock. You know, we do have a lot of, that's what we are, you know? But in this day and age when we're being diminished and, you know, devalued, it's hard to work past that, but of course we must. But I also think we have to get more men like you to jump in and be engaged. It can't be all women. It has to be men joining into, and I've been involved with putting that message out, you know. I mean, do you care about your mother? Do you care about your sister? Do you care about your grandmother? Do you care about your cousin, your girlfriend, you know, who happens to be, you know, female? Do you care about them? Can't you throw your towel in and help fight and say no to these ridiculous laws? And you know, it's just, I'm speechless.
Well, I agree. It's both men and women. But when I use the example, if we were walking down the street and there was some brouhaha, and one side of the street had rifles and the other side didn't, what's the likelihood that those rifles or guns would be used if they were arguing at each other? There's a very strong possibility. But if there was women on one side, that would be very diminished, the possibility of gun violence. Not that it's still dangerous and it could happen, that the women would be shot, but the likelihood is different. Therefore, the women have an advantage. That's what the lessons I've learned from all this work over the years. And so I look at it as the obstacles are enormous, but this strategy is to overcome the obstacles, helps to overcome the obstacles.
Well, you're obviously a very good letter writer. That must have been some letter. And so Marianne, Malala, and
well,
you know,
all
those
these
people
women,
you mentioned, have they received a special letter from you?
well, I have written to them. A lot of times I don't get responses.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. All of them haven't responded. I've spoken to many of those women. And sometimes they say, well, when you get started, let me know. The Women's Nobel Peace Initiative, I'm sorry, Women's Peace Initiative, the Nobel Women's Initiative, it's called. Same thing. I've spoken to some of the laureates, and I'm very fortunate to be in that position. So yes, my letters
Yeah.
get through sometimes, and sometimes they don't. And that's why I've always thought it's not me that was the one that was going to make this happen. It's Ela Gandhi, the granddaughter of Mahatma Gandhi, and Howard Zinn, the author of the People's History of the United States. He was a professor at Boston University and an activist in the Vietnam to stop the Vietnam War. They both said to me, yes, if the women take this, and that's why I'm asking today is to say it'll go, that's when it'll happen, not me making it happen. I want to provide the means. As I said, I have a full funding plan ready to go.
Wow.
And a marketing plan so that every day of the year it can capture and keep the attention of the media.
Well,
So-
we have to get together. We
Yes.
do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That's what I'm here for.
Because I love it and it has to be done. And, you know, I mean, thank you. Karen, jump in here too. I know you must like this idea.
Oh, yes. Andre and I have been very closely working together on these projects, and I've been introducing him to many of the women leaders that I have been so fortunate to work side by side with. And I just feel that his plan, his vision is something that our planet really needs. And my heart has been from the beginning, and I have always felt this way, that if we could have a kinder and more understanding government, a kinder way that we address the way we speak to each other, especially the nonviolent communication, movement that has been, I've been teaching that in the schools for many years now. And I believe that peace and conflict resolution is really the answer. And I've been doing this with kindergartners and, preschoolers. And I would love to do it with our government. I would love to sit down with our local town hall, with our local city, the small city council meetings, and just teach them how to speak to each other, teach them how to, if we could just gently be more kind in our conversations. I love the fact that we had that ceasefire, but Rick had the most amazing vision that I think would be the most amazing thing. And I've been trying to find a way to do this, but to have a ceasefire of the media, where the media stops hurting each other and saying painful and hurtful things, for, just a ceasefire of the media. And a ceasefire of even just, we take things so lightly in this country, especially in the United States. A lot of the talk show hosts make jokes about things, and they do it in a way that is hurtful. And I would just love to see a ceasefire in that. I would love to see a ceasefire of just an opportunity where people are just using the media for a greater good, to really educate us on how we can, instead of be divided, how we can connect with each other and how we can find a way to, that's what I really love this nonviolent movement, because I feel that, if we could take that to the health, to the health care industry, we could take that to the economic industry, we could take that into our, social justice industry. And I really believe that that is the answer. And nonviolence is kindness. You
Yes,
know,
yes.
it's just a matter of learning how to speak to each other, and learning how to, I believe that the answer is gentleness. If we could just be more gentle with each other, we will find that we have so much more in common than the differences. But so many people are so set in their position that they really don't feel like they can move in their position, and they're not learning how to communicate with each other. They're just sitting in their own judgment, and that's what I feel a lot of the problem is with the right wing, and having everybody has a situation where they just feel they can't be open-minded about the other person's, they just aren't gentle with each other. And I just love how Andre has this vision to, because women are gentle with each other. We basically, when we are speaking with each other, we have a gentleness about us,
We build each other up,
and we build each other up. Exactly.
we compliment, we talk about how, oh, I'm so amazed how you did that, and oh, this is so beautiful, and you did such a wonderful job. And because we do, I mean, yeah, they're, in general, but I mean, that's always been my experience. And I think it's overwhelmingly true. It's not about competition so much as it is about cooperation and complimenting people.
And that's what they consider the divine feminine, is the divine feminine. And the divine feminine is an energy. It's an energy that's in men and in women. And some men have more of that divine femininity in them than others, and some women have more of the masculinity in them than others. And it's a matter of understanding how we can balance that. And that's why, Rick and I sat down and wanted to do this, where we have the monthly networking with the women and allies and family organizations, so that people who are allies, men that are wanting to support women, wanting to support organizations that help families, that we have a place where everyone is welcome. I call it the web of love. I call it the web of love because it's the web is where everyone belongs. And I think that I just believe with all my
It's a
heart and
happy
soul.
place.
It is. I believe, and I believe, and you can do that in a meditation. You can do that in an inner journey. And I do it with the children all the time. And I talk to
They
them.
suck it up. They don't have any problems understanding that.
Well, yeah, they understand that when we see, and this is the simplicity of it is, in the web of love, every strand is just as important as every other strand. And the web itself will fall apart if every strand is not activated. And so that to me is what we could look at as a society. And I think HeartMath has done a wonderful job with that. And I think Humanity's Team has done a wonderful job with that. There's many organizations that are bringing that to our attention. And it's basically just understanding that we're all in this together, that we, and we are interdependent on one another. We need each other.
And
We need
another
each other.
thing that, kindness and gentleness, some people mistake that for weakness, But
Oh, yes, they do. But
But
they have
it's not
definitely
a
underestimated me when that conversation has.
Oh, I know. I mean, I worked in a law office once, in a criminal
Yeah.
defense law office, and I'm the kind guy, that person, and but that doesn't mean I'm weak. It
Not at
just
all.
it can be a
See,
sign
and
of
that's where you get the 1-2 punch too.
yeah,
Because
and it can
people
be
do see kindness as a weakness. They do
but it's a
in this
strength.
world, in our society, especially the United States society, you know, kindness has been labeled a weakness.
Mhm.
And you need to be, tough, and you need to, you know, get out there and get it done.
The velvet
And
glove.
yeah, and I think that, so many incredible, very, very educated women business leaders who have come in and been kind and used these principles of kindness and collaboration have shown us that, kindness is power. Just like
Mhm.
love is power. These are the most powerful frequencies on the planet. And, there's one thing that I have always loved about David Hawkins. And he wrote a book called Power versus Force. And he did the science behind this and said that one person who's vibrating with love in their heart, with peace on their mind, and kindness in their actions, counterbalances 750,000 people who are in the low frequency of shame and blame and looking for ways to get other people to be guilty. And so this is what I'm really seeing as, the more, like what Andre has said, the more that we collaborate with these other organizations, all of these organizations, We the World has some amazing partners. I can see Rianne Eisler getting involved with this for sure.
Mhm.
And you also said that you have somebody that you wanted to get involved with Code Pink. And I think that's another incredible organization.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing is that it's just on the edge. It's so on the edge right now of loving this dream that we've all had into this reality.
Well, something good has to come out of this ability that we have to connect with people all over the world now. That has to be evident, and so that we can see how we collect the good to overpower the negative. And that's what I love about working with volunteers and meeting people all over the world. I mean, it is so inspiring. I yesterday met someone in Sri Lanka, and and then there's Nigeria, and then my people that I work with in Africa. It's so there, and it's energizing, and I feel it, through the Zoom waves.
I agree
Anyway.
with everything you say, and the problem I see is that all these crises, they're so complex, and people's emotions get all riled up, and that's wherein lies the problem. So out of this, when the war started, though, it accentuated and I'm not blaming anyone, but it accentuated the male patriarchal way of doing militaristic way of doing things. And it's understandable throughout history. Rianne Eisler's theory, cultural transformation theory, is all about that the women were deities, then the men became powerful because they went out and conquered, or they protected the community, and they became the deities. But she's saying, no, we can change from a male-dominated society to a partnership society.
Mhm.
What her book's all about, The Chalice and the Blade. It's my favorite book.
And now she has a new one out, and it's about the neuroscience behind all of this.
But there's something important that what she said is that we all can be violent. Doesn't matter, male or female.
Oh, yeah.
She said that when the women rise up, that male dominance pushes it back down. No, I think it was one of her quotes in the book by Laszlo said that it pushes then any reaction that's trying to change things. That's how hard it is. And so when those emotions, I know I, myself included, if I get emotional, it's hard for me. I become stubborn. And so what nonviolence does, though, it diffuses conflicts. It says right from the beginning, namaste, salam, shalom, peace. I'm not a threat. So it's really important that the movement of nonviolence, that it has to happen, and the people in every country have to participate. But then there's one element that meets what you were talking about, Karen, and also Jana, that when we need something to focus in on that so that people see that happening. And that's part two. There's two major parts of a movement of nonviolence. Gandhi said you need the obstructive, and then you need the constructive. So the obstructive is all the segments that are the rallies and then the political lobbying and marching and die-ins to show that we're serious. Then there's the constructive segment. And that's where all the funding actually that in the budget that I'm proposing is to say, no, all the budget is going to go towards helping others and to starting with the children. That's why it's global movement of nonviolence for the children. We can all unite to try and bring.
They're our future, so it makes sense.
Yes, I'm sorry.
They need us.
Yep.
They need us like that beautiful sign says, they need us adults to step
Yes.
up.
And so
Because
the design,
they can't vote and they
Right.
don't have money, but they do care. And they
it's
really
an
do care.
illustration for the children. It's a macro socialization. Then all the projects that you were talking about, like going to the schools and the media. Now you introduced me, Karen, to Sue Blythe.
Yeah.
And she's got a wonderful program. It's a perfect example of what to do. And in Israel, there's an organization called the Alliance for Middle East Peace. And they have a tremendous program going on. It's absolutely tremendous. They should come to the forefront. So it's not just about nonviolence and protesting. It's about nonviolence says, here's what we're doing that's good for people. So the new narrative that I propose is to ask people to commit to nonviolence. That's the first thing Gandhi and King asked their constituents to do. And then also commit to helping others, working together for humanity. But it's going to be hard. There's no doubt about it that people's emotions, I predict that just like the war came along, something's going to happen, an accident or some crazy action that gets blown out of proportion and the emotions take over. So we have to be prepared, and we're not prepared right now. Yes, great things have been done, like some groups, Pace e Bene, Nonviolence International, the Meta Center in California, Michael Nagler, and the humanists actually in South America and Africa and Europe. The humanists are very big, and they've been having initiatives promoting nonviolence, huge initiatives. The whole continent, Latin America, they had 4 months ago promoting non-violence. So that's now to tie it in everywhere with what Rick's been doing, with what all the Unify Earth has been doing, with all the organizations now. They laid the groundwork. Wow, it's fantastic. It's right there for us. Now, if the women leaders take the initiative as their own.
It's so hard. I mean, it's so easy to give in to the fear, and it's so hard to just remember, I can do this. It's within me. I can do this. I can let it, like effuse from me, somehow, some way to collect and keep that positive, good energy around. So I have to, on the 20th, I'm going to be chairing for disarmament with a big presentation that I'm doing with Alan Ware. And I have 4 to 5 minutes of doing an opening comments. I can't just go, hi, welcome for being here, and let's hear everybody talk. I have to write something to have comments. You know, guess who I'm going to be reaching out to for
I'd be-
help, to
I'd
help
be glad to.
spread you know, the message that we, the world has, the message that Karen has, the message that you have. Who knows? Maybe it will, well, it is going to make a difference, because if I'm
Well,
doing it, it's going to do it.
Well, my favorite quote, and it's on every email I send out, Sister Joan Chittister on September 11th, 2004, but at the Omega V-Day conference, V-Day being the V-Day from the Vagina Monologues from Eve
Mhm.
Ensler. She was the promoter with the Omega Institute. And it was a conference called Women and Power, Our Time to Lead. And I was there. And in the ballroom on September 11th, 2004, Sister Joan Chittister had the house standing on their feet. She was fantastic. And she said, quote, "The lives of our children, the protection of millions, the hopes of all humankind, wait again now for women from opposite cultures, opposite tradition, to step over the line of political hatred to save them."
Wow. Well, I
It was-
think that's got to be in my thing.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Beatrice Finn, who's against nuclear weapons and started the TPNW treaty to stop nuclear weapons. And she's the executive director of ICAN. She won the Nobel Peace Prize 2017. She said, we need a truly feminist foreign policy. The fate of the earth depends on it.
Well, it is Mother Earth,
is
Mother
Mother Earth.
Earth,
Right.
Mother Earth, divine
I-
feminine energy, peace. It just goes together.
So I say, what better way to stop war than by women promoting goodwill and a commitment to nonviolence? To
Well, we
create
are,
trust,
but we need to be heard.
yes, and that leads to my last statement. Sister Joan also said, quote, "Indeed, women must have a role not only in the reconstruction of societies already ravaged by war, but more than that, they must take a voice until they are given a voice in the development of peaceful alternatives to war." So I say, yes, let's take the bull by the horns. Women, take the lead and show the way. Set an example, set a precedent for all time.
Hear us roar in a nice way, in a nice, gentle way. Oh my gosh, this has been fabulous. I feel energized. Before I was feeling like, well, maybe I'll take a nap, and now I'm all excited to write my comments. Oh my gosh, so you might be hearing from me. So
Thank you very much.
Karen, do you have any words of wisdom for us before we go on?
My word of wisdom is let yourself find within you the truth that fills your heart, your true heart, and then ripple that out everywhere you go, and be the presence of your own true heart. No matter where you speak, no matter where, if you're at your family gathering for the holidays, no matter where you are, always speak from your true heart. And when you do that, people will remember they have a true heart also, and they will respond from that space. And it ripples. It really does. And I really believe
it comes out. I mean, if you can feel auras or see auras, and it's there. I mean, I feel it. I don't see it, but I definitely feel it. And I try to make that be my surrounding,
You have that presence, Jana. You have that presence. And that's the beauty of the presence, is when we just are the presence, we don't even need words anymore. The
Mhm.
words they just are so unnecessary.
It's beyond language.
It's
Yeah.
beyond, it's
Jana,
beyond.
your spirit and your heart shines. It's all over. We see it. We see it. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. The other day I was with Kurt Kruger and Catherine Davis from our campaign, and they were both saying, you're just so cuddly, you can feel it, you're there.
Fuzzy.
Warm and fuzzy. Well, I tell everybody I'm high on life. I really am. I truly am. I just feel like I'm in a really good place, and I love that I can do something. It's easy to think, oh, well, I'm older, I'm disabled, I'm poor, but I'm not disabled in spirit. I'm not old in spirit, and I'm not, all those things.
You have
Everywhere
the most
there.
brilliant and spectacular true heart.
And it's such a joy to be able to do this. When Angel asked me if I would do this, my first reaction was, and then I'm like, oh, I can do that. I can talk. I can do this, and I have loved doing it. So thank you so much. So now I have to do my ending thing here.
If I may just add one more element. is
Yes.
that my objective is to get the movement started. So please contact me anytime. If I could just post my contact information and
Well, I'm going to make sure that I follow up with showing the video and contact information. I think that that's a good way,
Okay.
for people who aren't seeing it live or whatever. It's just good to just follow up and.
okay, we can
and
put it in
hand
also in a caption that later.
Yeah. I'll do that.
For me, it's a love-hate relationship because there's so many problems and I see it getting worse. The leaders are saying it's getting worse. So that enables
But
me to say it because
I know it's scary, and I
wanna
know
be-
that's the
I didn't want
message,
to be a
but
doomsayer.
right. But there's also just so much good out there. And I think the good is getting bigger. I
Yes,
really
it is.
do. I really do. All right. Okay. So, well, this has been a truly inspiring conversation. I have just loved this and getting to know you better, Andre. Of course, seeing Karen again with her beautiful dimples. I just love those dimples.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Jana.
So we're going to hold up 3 fingers here, and I know it looks like the Girl Scout promise, but it's all about we. And we're going to go from a me society to a we society so that we can create a world that works for all. And go to we.net to get involved. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Namaste.
Namaste.